Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're taking a global tour to figure out what a cup of coffee really means. It turns out that one single bean has kicked off this incredible world of rituals, flavors, and, well, connections.
So think about it. For most of us, especially if you're in the US or the UK, it's probably something like a latte, right? Or maybe a flat white, or just a simple filter coffee from the pot. It's that go-to morning ritual, that afternoon pick-me-up.
But that familiar cup? It's just one tiny chapter in a huge global story. So today, we're going on a journey, from what you already know to the truly fantastic. We're going to explore some coffee traditions you might have never, ever imagined. All right, let's ease into this. We'll start with some creative twists on a combo we all know and love, coffee and milk.
First up, a distinction that started down under in Australia and New Zealand but has totally taken over the world, the flat white. Now, you might think it's just a latte, but the key difference, and it's a big one, is the coffee-to-milk ratio. It's smaller, way more intense, and packs a much stronger coffee punch than its milkier cousin.
And what I find really cool here is how different places take just a few simple ingredients and create something totally new. Over in Spain, you've got the Café Bombón, which uses sweetened condensed milk for this super rich layered drink. Then in Morocco, nu literally means half-half. It's this perfectly balanced cup. And then there's Argentina, where if you just want a tiny hint of coffee, you get the Café La Grama, which is a whole cup of milk with just a single teardrop of espresso. Wild, right?
Okay, so we've done milk. Now let's kick things up a notch and see what happens when people start adding spirits and spices for warmth, for celebrations, and sometimes even for health. All right, this next one has a great story. Germany's Farisier coffee, well, it all starts with a bit of playful deception and a very, very strict local priest. So, the story goes, the locals loved their coffee, but they also really loved their rum. And to hide it from this priest who did not approve, they figured out a clever trick. A big, thick cap of whipped cream on top could trap the smell of the rum they were secretly pouring in. Of course, you can't keep a secret like that forever. He eventually found out, and he yelled, "Oh, you Pharisees!" Comparing them to the hypocrites from the Bible. And just like that, the drink had its permanent, and let's be honest, pretty cheeky name. And this idea is everywhere, really. It perfectly illustrates a global theme. You've got Irish coffee with its warming whiskey. In Mexico, the Café de Olla is simmered in these special clay pots with cinnamon and raw sugar. And then in Senegal, Café Touba uses cloves and guinea pepper, and it's seen as this medicinal drink. It just goes to show, coffee is like the perfect canvas for whatever local flavors you want to throw at it. Okay, so you've seen coffee with spices, you've seen it with booze, but this is where our journey gets really, really interesting. Seriously, prepare to have your idea of what goes in coffee completely turned upside down. So, what happens when you put cheese in your coffee? Well, in Finland, that's not some weird foodie experiment. It's actually a traditional, heartfelt gesture of hospitality, something you do for a guest you really want to honor. They call it kaffeost. What they do is, they put these little cubes of a special bread cheese into a cup and then pour hot coffee right over them. Now, the cheese gets soft and soaks up all that coffee flavor, but it doesn't really melt. And I know it sounds a little strange, but people often compare the taste to a rich, kind of savory tiramisu. I'd try that. Okay, from cheese to, well, something else entirely. We're heading to Hanoi, where a shortage after the war led to one of the most iconic and frankly delicious coffee inventions ever. Now, the key thing to understand here is that Vietnamese egg coffee is not like dropping a scrambled egg into your mug. No way. It's this silky, super decadent, almost meringue-like cream made by whipping egg yolks with sweetened condensed milk. It's really more of a dessert that you spoon over this incredibly dense, strong coffee. And this kind of creativity isn't just in Vietnam. Get this. In Malaysia, their Ipoh white coffee beans are actually roasted with margarine to get a specific flavor. And Austria also does an egg thing with their Kaiser melange, but they whip the raw egg yolk directly with honey and coffee. It's all about that rich, creamy texture. Okay, so far, every single drink we've talked about has been all about one thing, the roasted coffee bean. But our last stop on this little tour is going to challenge that whole idea.
Let's just ask a crazy question that kind of turns everything we know about coffee on its head. What if the best part isn't actually the bean at all?
So let me introduce you to cascara. The word is Spanish for husk, and that's exactly what it is. It's the dried skin of the coffee cherry. You know, the part that's usually just thrown away during processing. But instead, it's saved, dried, and brewed kind of like a tea.
And the flavor is nothing like coffee. It's really fruity and sweet. But here's the real kicker. This waste product, the part that usually gets tossed, it can actually pack more of a caffeine punch than the beans we go crazy for. How ironic is that?
You know, this quote from Jamal Surya really captures what we've seen today. From one simple bean, this whole world of ritual and flavor and human connection has just exploded. I mean, think about it. Whether it's hiding rum from a priest or inventing a new dessert because you're out of milk, or even deciding to brew the part that everyone else throws away.
So from cheese coffee in Finland to egg coffee in Vietnam, I think the lesson here is pretty clear. There's a whole world of flavor just waiting for you in your cup. The only question left is, what are you going to try next? Thanks for watching.